Hello, everyone. It's your girl Audrey coming back for some more math and more fun and entertainment. It's going to be real fun today, considering I only got 2 hours of sleep. It's going to be that type of day. All right. So, hello everyone, welcome in. So for today, we're gonna work on a little more with multi-step equations. Actually we had some fun with it yesterday, so I said, hey, why not? Let's try to have some more fun with it today. Hello, homegrown, how are you? So hopefully everyone's doing well. So I wanna kinda jump right on into it because I definitely have to leave at 2 o'clock today. So let me get myself on console situated right here. So we have our word problem. So let me see if I can zoom in. It's just like crazy. Like I just can't really get with the zoom, and the book is all kinds of wonky badonky. So here we are. So after getting this, I understand parents. I get it. I totally get it. Let me see if I can turn this down just a hair. One of my students came up with this lovely problem last night, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to share it with you guys because I want you to see, and I get it. When you look at problems and you're like, this is going to want to rip my hair out. And I teach math. Imagine how you guys are when your kid comes home with this problem and it says, Maria bought 7 boxes. A week later, half of her boxes were destroyed in a fire. There are now only 22 boxes left. With how many did she start? And I was like, whoa, what? Hey, Lucy. I was like, oh, half of all. You would think, oh, it's just half of all. But here's my thing. Here's my mind. This is what I was thinking. Okay, Maria bought 7 boxes. Beautiful. We got 7 boxes. A week later, half of her boxes were destroyed in a fire. And I'm thinking, okay, well, she must have 3.5 boxes left because that's half, right? Exactly. I know. That's what I had to learn. Exactly. I love it. So she already had boxes, but she bought more. But in my mind, when I'm tutoring all day, and this was my 10 who showed up at 10:20, we'll talk about that later. You would think, but in my mind, I was like, what? And then all of a sudden, now there's only 22 boxes left. I'm like, wait, where did all these 22 boxes came from? You had 7. I'm like, what is happening? And then I literally had to take a break because I was not getting a whole number. I'm getting all kinds of crazy decimals. And I said, you know what? I'm going to present this. I'm going to present this to my people because we are starting to understand each other, right? So the thing is, how many did she start? So we're looking at the starting of this. So I love how we're so destructive that it was destroyed by a fire. Like only math people can be so crazy. Either things are being destroyed by fires or you got grown people buying 68 million watermelons. I don't know. It's crazy. But this is what's happening. So since we know half of it was destroyed by the fire and 22 was left, that means we're going to take our 22 and we're going to multiply that by 2 to see how much would start off. So we're thinking of the reverse. So now 22 times 2, notice I'm not using x's for multiplication. That's done. Okay, now we're going into algebraic, so we have to use parentheses or dots because x's are also known as variables. Okay, so it gets confusing. So that means we have 44. But then she bought 7 more boxes. So that means from this total of 44, we need to take away 7 of these lovelies. So when we do that, borrow from the 4 to make that into a 3. Then that 4 is now a 14. That means we have 37. And that was the answer. But when I initially saw this, I was like, what in the blessed world? So parents, I get it. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. But now we kind of have an understanding. And the key word of all of that is what they started off with. All right. Now, there is another one. So I know I'm kind of jumping right into with the word problems. And probably people are kind of going traumatized right now. But we're going to make it through together. So the next one. And this is something that we're going to use a little more algebraic. So thank you so much for sharing the live. Yeah, share the insanity. It's the insanity called Audrey Codner. Let's do this. Let's have fun with this. So we have the sum of 3 consecutive even numbers is 48. What are the smallest of these numbers? Now, take a moment. Let's think. Let's breathe. Hi, just for you. Pleasure to meet you. Welcome back. So, Chocolate Garden said, would it be 44 plus 7? Oh, let me back up for a second. Let me answer Chocolate Garden. It's not going to be plus 7 because we're looking at how much she started with. And if she bought 7, that means she added 7 to the mix of what she had. And we're not adding to the mix. We had to take away. So she started off with 37. Then she bought the 7 boxes. And then the whole fire happened. And yeah, all that fun stuff. Okay, are you good now? Thumbs up or thumbs down, Chocolate Garden. Why times 2? Because this is, I don't know what the symbol is, but the symbol, my prints, the reason why we multiply by 2, because half of those boxes was destroyed by the fire. So we have to think in the reverse. We want to see how much she started off with. So instead of dividing by 2, the opposite of division is multiplication. And then the reason why we didn't add the 7 boxes, because she bought the boxes in addition. So we wanted to figure out what the beginning number was. Okay, are we all good now? Oh, because half. Okay, I saw the second part. Okay, here we go. There's a lot of stuff going on here. All right, so now Miss Mary, my lovely Mary, I think you're thinking of 15 for this one. So let's see. So they always have a problem like this on SATs, ACTs. There's always one of these random questions. So we're saying 3 consecutive even numbers. All right, so let's think of consecutive, one after the other. Even, we're talking about 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. Right? We get the whole feel of it. Now, if I started with 2, and I don't know where I'm starting, I could start anywhere. But if I'm starting with 2, how do I get from 2 to 4? If I start with 2 and I want to get to 4, that means I'm going to add 2. If I'm starting at 2, how do I get to 6? Well, 2 plus 4 will give me my 6. If I start at 2, how do I get to 8? If we're starting to see the pattern, put in the chat. So if I went from 2 to 4, I add 2. To go from 2 to 6, I add 4. So from 2 to 8, I'm going to 6. I see a 6 in there. One person says 14, 16, 18. I have a whole people joining, which is awesome. Thank you so much. Come walk on in. So I will actually be adding 6. So yes, 360 spirit, good job. All right. So this is what's happening. But since we don't know where we're going to start, and Black Roses thinks it's 14, 16, and 18, let's see if she's right. Okay? So we don't know where we're going to start. So since we don't know, this is when our unknown helps us, our x, our unknown variable. If I want to go consecutive, I'm going to have my x. I'm going to have my unknown starting number plus 2 because that's how I got from 2 to 4. And then the next number, if we use the pattern, say 6, I start with my unknown number plus 4. So my first unknown number will be x. My second unknown number will be x plus 2. And my third unknown number will be x plus 4. Since it says is, that's equals 48. Okay. All right, so I have Vaughn that's thinking it's 14, 16, and 18 as well. All right. So when you come up with a situation like this is how you can set it up. Or you can do what's called guess and check. You can try to figure out, all right, let me get 3 numbers. If I can add them together, that's what the word sum means. If I can add them together, which 3 numbers, consecutive and even, will give me 48. So sometimes you can be like, all right, let me just do some guess. Let me try 10, 12, 14. Okay, I add that up. Nope, doesn't give me 48. So you can do what's called guess and check, and there is nothing wrong with that. But let's take a look. Need addition signs between groups. All right, thank you. Who's that? Mr. White. Appreciate you. All right, so we have our x, our first term, plus our second term, plus our third term. Okay, equals 48. Yep, so since we're doing sums, we definitely need to do that. So now we can carry over what we've been working on, which is adding, like combining like terms. So if you notice, we have 1, 2, 3 x's. So since we have 3 of those x's, we can combine them into 3x. Then what's left over? We have 2 and 4. They're all on the same side of the equal sign. Because remember, the equal sign is like our club, trying to keep it all in. So now we have 2 plus 4, that gives me 6. Bring down my equal signs and bring down my 48. Sorry, but why did you add the plus 2 plus 4 plus 6? No problem. So if I looked at my example, let me slide this down a little bit. If I looked at my example, if I have consecutive even numbers, usually even we'll think of 2, 4, 6, and 8, right? But we want to get like 3 consecutive even. If I start off with 2, because you can start off with anything. In order for me to go from 2 to 4 through addition, I have to add 2. Because 2 plus 2 gives me 4. If I wanted to start at 2 and I want to get to 6, that means I have to go 2 plus 4, because that gives me 6. And if I wanted to go to 8, I want to start at 2. That means 2 plus 6 gives me 8. Okay. So Black Roses thinks it's 16. Black Roses, why are you changing your answer? Be confident. Stay with your stuff. Christabel, divide 3 median, then 1 above and 1 below. Try to clarify. Maybe let me see if I can go back. If you said something earlier. Okay. Or 16 times 3. Nope. Black Roses, do not change your answer. Oh, it's because the first has nothing added. Yes. The first one, we always start with nothing added. All right. So now, I'm not yelling at you. I'm like, just keep it. Don't do it. Trust yourself, girl. Yes. Period. Says subtract 6 on both sides. Okay? Because remember, 3 and x is you and your boo. We want to isolate our variable. That plus 6 is trying to get into it. So we have to subtract, do the opposite to cancel out. So now we bring down our 3x, bring down our equal sign. So 48 minus 6, let's see if you guys can see that. Let me slide that up there. So 48 minus 6, that gives me a whopping 42. All right. So then when I divide, good job, when I divide both sides by 3, 3 divided by 3 cancels out, gives me my x. So you can say 1x, but remember, 1x and x means exactly the same. And then my 42 divided by 3, 1 set of 3 can go into 4s, which gives me a remainder of 1. So now we're dealing with 12. And 4 times 3 will give me my 12. So this answer of 14, yes. Can you use the question before? Can you just the question before this one after? Try again. User 18482, can you rephrase your question? Not sure. I need a class in this. Yes, this is something that is kind of like you have to think about. A sum always has an average. The average of 48 over 3 numbers is 16. So that's the middle number. Yes. So Jacob, you can definitely do that with the middle number. Now, the reason why I do it this way, and remember, there's more than one way to do these answers, okay? Please make sure that's clarified, okay? So when we're doing this, sometimes they'll say, which setup? Sometimes they won't even ask you to solve it. They'll just say, what's the representation of the sum of 3 consecutive even numbers? And they'll give you multiple choice of something like this, just a setup. And you don't have to do the whole breakdown. All right. So what about polynomials? What about polynomials? What's wrong with polynomials? I know I did polynomials last night. I usually do my polynomials in the evenings. So in the mornings, we do like 1-step, 2-step equations and multi-step. So we're going to be doing multi-step today. All right. Okay. Are we all right? I love the questions. I love it. It's like, what happened? What's going on? So the smallest of the numbers is going to be 14. So that means the next one will be 16. Then the next one after that will be 18. All right. So what happens? That was the consecutive even numbers. Can we use the same philosophy for our next one, which says the sum of 3 consecutive numbers is 72? What are the smallest of these numbers? Okay. Why do you have it written originally as multiplication? Oh, it wasn't supposed to be multiplication, Lynn. That was my mistake. It was supposed to be addition. That's supposed to go in here. I didn't know how to squeeze, because if I squeeze the plus signs in between, it would look a hot mess. That's why. Yep. User error. Pops is official. How are you? All right. So this time, we got 3 consecutive even numbers. So I have one person stating, user 18482. I wish I knew your real name. How are you, Pops? Hopefully you're doing very well. It's been a minute. Okay. Yes. Good job. I love that. So this time, since it's consecutive numbers, it doesn't say even or odd. It just says consecutive numbers. So if I said, for instance, I start with 1, the next one will be 2, and the next one will be 3. So for me to start with 1, for me to get to 2, I have to do, if this is my x, this is going to be my x plus 1. For me to start at 1 to get to 3, I have to add 2 numbers. So this will be my x plus 2. Okay? So if I want the sum of my 3 consecutive numbers, I'm going to have x plus 1 plus x plus 2. And it's going to equal, because of my is, 72. Okay. Using this live. I love that. Oh, nice. Okay, so Kate's saying 23, 24, 25. Pops is saying 23, 24, 25. We got a lot of people hosting. Zoe has to be odd, even, odd. And the middle one has to be exactly 72 divided by 3, which is 24. So the lowest is going to be 23. All right, because we have 1, 2, 3. 3x's just like how we had before. Then we have our 1 and our 2. That gives us 3. So then when you subtract your 3, you get your 3x. And it does give you your transfer of 69. 1 second. Oh my goodness. Whoo. You ever sneeze and you're just like, you know what? I needed that. It was like it was holding it in for the longest time. Whew. So sorry. And I was trying not to be anywhere near the microphone so it won't blow out your speakers. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3. Got 1, 2. So that's my 3. So my 72 minus my 3 gives me my 69. My 69 divided by my 3 gives me my 23. So for those that were doing the average and you figured that the middle number was 24, the lowest number is going to be 23. And then the highest number of the sequence is going to be 25. Okay? That is how I got it. Yes. Me, clueless with my blank paper. Val, it's okay. All right? Trust me. This is what I have to say. These were a couple of problems I had to copy from my students, and especially at 10:30 at night after you've been tutoring and doing videos and all kinds of stuff all day. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness. But this is what you guys as parents go through. And then I'll bet you cold hard cash, the way that you got it with the average, the teacher will probably do it either this way or another way, and your child will tell you right away, well, that's not how my teacher does it. How many times have you had to do a deep breath every time your child said that? Go ahead, hit it. How many times? Tap that screen. So you tap the screen. How many times your child said that and you had to take a deep breath? Because every time you're like, but this is how I know how, and this is how I break it down for you, my child. Okay? But a lot of people just have to understand there are multiple ways of getting the same answer. Okay? Some people actually go through the whole structure of it. Some people do the law of averages. But as long as we understand that there's multiple ways of getting the same answer, we need to embrace that. That was the one thing I loved about when I was in the classroom, that when a child is like, well, I figured it out a different way, I always have that kid come up to the board and say, show the whole class. And then I would give the kids the option. Either you do it, Daquan's way, or you want to do it this way. You have a choice. You're going to get the same answer either way. So I just wish, and I'm hoping that a lot of other teachers are doing exactly the same thing. All right. So that was the torture from last night. So let's go on with today. So today we're going to take a little bit more steppage with multi-step equations. So I need to get myself a little bit situated here. So with the multi-step equations, we talked about like one-step equations when you're dealing with the inverses. Let me clip on so I won't have too much flex going on here. So as long as we understand, that we are always working towards the inverses. I'm always going to keep writing this each and every time. Okay? When you're solving these equations, you're using the inverse. So the inverse of addition is subtraction. The inverse of multiplication is division. So we really have to get that in our heads. And then remember, the main goal is to isolate our variable. So I'm really going to hit harder on some of the other concepts that we may see. So some of them had like variables on the same side. Some of them had a variable on each side of the equal sign. So I'm going to bring that bad boy back. So as soon as I can find my stuff, what's going on? Let's not make it too crazy, but make it somewhat challenging. So let's say 5x plus 4 is equal to 14 plus 4x. Okay, so let me bring that in there so you all can see. All right. So remember, our equal sign is like the barrier. Whatever you do on one side of the equal sign, you must do on the other side of the equal sign. So it depends on where you want your x's to be. Your x's can be on the left-hand side. Your x's can be on the right-hand side. I know in school, everyone forced the variable to be on the left-hand side because we read from left to right. But you're going to get the same answer regardless. So for me personally, I really want to, and it's almost like you are in multiple relationships because you're the X. All right. So you're over here with your little side piece here. You're over here with your little side piece here. You need to make a decision. Okay. We need to find that person. So we need to pick on one side. Where do you want to be in this relationship? Right. I know I try to get too real with this, but it just sticks when we do it this way. So let's say I want to move this 4x over here because I want to combine my life and just make the decision. Since it is a positive 4x, I want to do the inverse. So let me slide this over. So here's the inverse. If it's positive, the inverse is negative. It's subtraction. So we are going to subtract 4x on both sides. So now we made the decision that our x's are going to be on the left-hand side. This positive 4x minus 4x, that gives me 0. I don't need to put the 0 down because I still have that 14 on the same side of that equal sign. So now 5x minus 4x gives me what? Put it in the chat. Yes, I'm seeing x's, 1x, x, 1x. Yes. So we all know that 1x and x is the same representation. When we don't see a number in front of the x, it's always assumed that it's a 1. Good. So now I'm going to bring down my plus 4. So you are right here. Here come this positive 4 trying to mess up your life. We need to be by ourselves. We need to reflect. We need moments. So what we need to do is remove that person from our life. And we have to do the opposite. So since it's a +4, we have to do the opposite, which means -4. Subtract them from your life. You don't need any more toxicity. Okay? So that means +4, -4 cancels out, gives me 0. But again, 0 is a placeholder. And we don't need the 0 because what's on the same side of that equal sign is our x. And then I'm also going to bring down my equals. So now on the opposite side, we have 14 - 4. So yes, no energy. I thank you. And then Jazz getting right. She says we got 10. Do we agree with Jazz? Do we agree that my answer is 10? Thank you. I know you're probably all nodding and agreeing, but I can't see you not. Yes. So we got our 10. So what you're doing, anytime you're solving any kind of equation, the reason why you're doing it is you want to know what number in place of x is going to make this equation into a true statement. So some people just say, oh, I'm just solving an equation. No, there's a reason why. This x can represent any number whatsoever, positive, negative, decimals, fractions. It can represent anything. But we're always looking to find that one particular number that will make this equation into a true statement. All right? So that's what we did yesterday. So now I want to expand on it a little bit. So I want to do what's called the distributive property. So distributive property is just another way of saying multiplying. So if I wanted to multiply, let me walk it through step by step. So we have, let's say 3 times 2r plus 7. Okay, I just want to start off with an expression. So 3 times 2r plus 7. So when I solve this, I'm not going to get an answer like an x equals because I don't have an equal sign here. But when I distribute, I need to basically shell everything out through multiplication inside of that parenthesis. So I use the example of like, okay, you have some candy. These are your friends, right? How would you feel that you gave candy to this friend, but you didn't give candy to this friend? How do you think that friend's going to feel? You think they're going to still be friends with you? No, we petty as I don't know what. So when it comes to food, we don't play around. All right, I saw right in front of my face, you gave this person candy, but you're not going to give me anything? I don't know about you're dead to me, but I feel some type of way. So this is what you have to remember. And this is the reason why some teachers draw these arrows. To remind you that you're distributing and multiplying that 3, not only to the first term, but also to the second term. All right? Oh, thank you. You're such a good teacher. I'm just waiting for, oh, okay. Not a problem. So now, 3 times 2r. 3 times 2, that gives me 6. And since there's no r on the outside, but there's one r on the inside, I'm going to bring that r down. Now, plus sign comes on down. 3 times 7. That gives me 21. So I know, and we've had this discussion last night, a lot of people are like, oh, okay, I can combine all that. Or, okay, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That means I can add what's inside the parentheses. This is the thing. This 2 has an R, but that 7 doesn't. So they're not like terms. Okay, so I can't combine those. Now, if that 7 had an R, sure, you could combine them before we multiply, definitely. But because that 7 does not, we cannot. So the only thing we can do is distribute that 3 to the 2r, which gives me 6r, and distribute the 3 to the 7, which gives me 21. Okay, how are we feeling so far? Give me a thumbs up and tell me how you're feeling. If you're feeling good, you can say Y for a yes or thumbs up. I'll take either one. I'm taking this in college algebra. This is helping me a lot. Thank you. Not a problem. Wow, thanks. Not a problem. That is why I'm here. Love it, love it, love it. Everyone's doing well. Awesome. Now, with these things, and I'm going to show one more like this. Okay, I'm going to put it right underneath it. So if I have a, let's say a -4. Oh yeah, she had to put the negatives in there. -4, 3m, we can do that, -6. Okay, let me raise this up just a hair. Okay. So, -4, 3m, -4, -6. So all we're doing is distributing. When we distribute, we multiply. And you gotta multiply, give to everyone inside of that parenthesis. So now, here we go with the whole negative positive thing. And you're probably like, I can't remember which is which. Was that the final answer? Yes, it was. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just slipping all kinds of up. I usually box my stuff up. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yes, so that was the final answer for the last one. So now, when you multiply and the signs are opposite, your answer is always going to be negative. Okay, so try to keep that in mind. When you're multiplying and dividing, when your signs are opposite, one's negative, one's positive, your answer is always going to be negative. So now all you have to do is multiply the 4 and the 3, which gives us 12. And since there isn't an m outside the parenthesis, but there's an m inside, you bring that m down. Okay, good. And we have Bree. Bree thinks it's -12m plus 24. So Bree, why is it plus 24? Can you do it? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Because then I have exactly, I'm so glad you guys are doing this. Because that minus -24 too. Let's talk about that. So why is it plus 24? Yes, 2 negatives make a positive. Right. I know, not in real life though. Woo, 2 negatives makes jail time. Okay, so, but in math, when the signs are the same and you're multiplying or dividing, a negative times a negative does give me a positive. Now, I did see, of course it zoomed away, I did see someone wrote a -24. Guess what? That means exactly the same thing as saying a negative times a negative gives me a positive. Now, all we're doing is cleaning this up a little bit, okay? So if you can just remember, when the signs are the same and you're multiplying, your answer is always going to be positive, right? So it is going to be a positive 4 times 6, which gives me 24, okay? So this and this, very similar, but this is just a little more, as we call, simplified. All right. So now, since this was a -12m and this is a positive 24, and that 24 does not have an m, they're not like terms. So I can't break it down any further. So that is my answer. What's a positive plus a negative? Okay, now for addition, that's going to be different. If you're doing addition, if the signs are the same, you're going to keep the sign and add. If the signs are different, you're going to subtract and take the sign of the largest number. So if you're probably saying, what is she saying? Let me show you. In the back of my lovely notebook that I have here, because I designed this notebook to help keep things in tactic. All right, so let me flash up. Boom. All right, so when it comes to subtraction, let me shrink this bad boy in so we can see it. So when it comes to subtraction, so when the signs are the same, okay? When they're the same, you are basically going to just do your regular thing. So when you have a negative minus a negative, you're going to keep your answer negative. So let's say here, for this negative 17 minus 6, minus also means negative. They can play both sides of the field. So that means both of them are the same sign. So when they're the same sign, I can basically add them together, like I stated here, and then I keep the signage. So it's a negative 23. But when the signs are different, like I said right here, negative 7 plus a negative 3, that's the same as saying negative 7 plus 3. The signs are different. One's negative and one's positive. So that means I'm going to subtract them. That's where the 4 came from. But I keep the sign of the largest number. 7 is larger than 3. So then that will stay as a negative 4. So sometimes I think of it this way. I have $3, but I want to buy something that costs $7. That means I'm $4 short. Usually I just put it with money. It just makes a little more sense, right? So if I have $16 and I want to spend $4, that means I'm going to have $12 left, okay? All right. So the negative 23, yes. So think of your credit. Well, think of my credit card. Ready? I'll put myself on blast. All right. So I have negative $17 on my credit card. Then I wanted to buy something for $6. That means I'm in the negative $23. Okay. So I'm going further down my number line, because I'm going to keep owing people. I owe somebody $17. Then I borrowed another $6 from them. I don't know why they're giving me money, but here we are. That means I owe them $23. Okay. So what about negative 23 plus 3? All right. I owe you $23. I paid you $3. Do I still owe you, and how much? So I owe you $23. I paid you $3. That means exactly, Carla, I owe you $20. If I have $23 and I spent $3, that means I have $20. So you see how it mixes up? It all depends on the situation. If you think of it as money, it generally helps a lot. All right. So just 20. Yes. There we go. All right. So I know it's hard to think of all the rules, but when you have some of these rules or something to remind you, think of money. Okay. If you ever get into a situation, think of money. How much that you would owe. All right. Not a problem. I'm doing an intermediate math. Oh, yeah, definitely. That's why I have to leave, because I'm actually tutoring a person doing intermediate algebra at 2 o'clock. So that's why I was like, yep, I got to make sure I'm out of here. But I'm prepared, so I can leave literally at 1:59. So we'll be here for a bit. Now, that's the distributive property. So we're going to take this and we're going to extend it just a hair, okay? So what I mean by that, we're going to solve it, use it to solve. So if I raise this up a little bit, sometimes I got to worry about my screen. So if I have negative 3 times 4r minus 8 equals negative 36. I'm going to show you 2 ways how I'll solve this problem. Where can I get the book? I have this on sale on Amazon. If you go to the link in my bio, go to my website, and it'll say the Ultimate Math Notebook. Click on the Amazon icon or the logo, and it will take you directly to my page on Amazon, and you can purchase the book through there. Okay. So do you do online tutoring? I could pay for it. Oh, yes. Yes, you can. And I'm one of those crazy tutors that's available 7 days a week. I have students all throughout the United States, even Alaska. I was at Alaska this morning, and Cairo, Egypt, and Nairobi, Kenya. So my Cairo, Egypt person, she finished her GED. Kenya, he is doing awesome. He actually scored an A on his exam, and he was just the same as me. Like, he struggled with math, and we just worked it through, and he got an A in his class, which is awesome. I mean, he worked. Okay. Where do you sign up? If you go to the link in my bio, under my website, ACG Math Tutoring, you can just go to the contact and then fill out the form. Yes, I love math, but I just started college this month. Congratulations. I love that you guys are here. I love that. All right, let me show you 2 ways to solve this, and you guys get to pick which way you like best. Okay, I like to give choices. So we know we have the distributive property here. So if I have this negative 3, I'm going to distribute that negative 3 to everything inside the parenthesis. So negative 3 times 4r, and then negative 3 times negative 8. Let's see if we can get an answer, and I'm going to highlight it in yellow. What should I put in this yellow section right here? That's going to be my answer. When I multiply negative 3 times 4r, hey, don't forget, use the previous examples to help guide you. Okay? What should I put in this yellow section? All right, for the whole thing. Okay, don't forget your sign, Tina. Don't forget your sign. Okay, it's true it's going to be 12, but what type of 12? Okay, so I have 2 people. Look like the same answer so far. Lauren and Rhonda. Food zombie. Okay, got 3 people. 4 people. Okay. Looks like we're going the same way. Just give me like 1, maybe 2 more. All right, nice. A. Thomas. 1 more person, let's see. Okay, there you go, Tina. That's what I was waiting. I was waiting for you, Tina. All right, good. Excellent, guys. So negative 3 times 4r gives me a negative 12r. And then a negative times a negative gives me a positive 24. So now I'm going to bring down my equals and my negative 36. So from here, we want to, maybe I should put this in pen. I don't know, just so you can, see it. All right, so from here, what should I do next? I'm seeing 36 plus 24. Careful with the signage, guys. Careful with the signage. No problem. No apologies. Just careful with the signage. What should I do next? Okay. Princess, you're very close. So we're going to subtract the 24, which is right. But the reason why I say very close, because this 36 is negative. I'm not sure if you could see that. And if you didn't, that was my fault. I'll take the L. Okay. So reason why we're subtracting the 24, because it was a plus 24. We have to do the inverse because our goal is to isolate this variable. Okay. So that means I have a couple people. Yep. So before we divide that negative 12, we're going to bring it down. So negative 12r is going to equal, and I think a couple people wrote it up there. Yes, I'm loving it. Since the signs are the same, it's going to be negative, and then we add the numbers, which gives me 60. Yes, so we have negative 60s. How we doing, guys? Talk to me. If you're doing okay, you can go ahead and tap. If you're just like, I'm super lost and I'm about to freak out. Nope, no freaking out. Not in this place. This is not the freak out place. Nope. Okay. All right. Okay. And then we have some other Tina. All right. So here we go. We got the distribution. Our goal is to get our R by itself. So right now, let me put my club. Right now, we're trying to even everything out. We're trying to keep this negative 12r on this side. So we had to do the opposite. Since it said plus 24, we got to subtract 24 on both sides. All right? So then we have negative 36 minus 24. So both the signs are negative. So if I owe $36, and then for some reason you loaned me another $24 because you're a grateful person, that means I still owe you, but now I owe you $60. Okay? So then this will be a negative 60 because I owe you. All right, okay? So now we're trying to get R by itself. So let me bring it back to the relationship. So you are R. Negative 12 is your boo. Boo thing is messing up. What happens when someone messes up? Like big time. Embarrassed you in front of you, your friends, your family, all that. You need to get them, divide them out your life. Okay? Because in between the 12 and the R, I don't see a plus sign or a minus sign. So that means this is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So I am dividing this toxicity out of my life. Because I want to be independent by myself. Just for a short time. Because just like life, there's another equation out there waiting to happen. All right? So now, negative 12 divided by negative 12 gives you 1. But remember, the 1 is assumed to be in front of the R. But now we have a negative divided by a negative. Remember what I stated. When you have a negative, the same signs, my answer is going to be positive. And yes, it will be 60 divided by 12, which gives me a positive 5. Okay, so to make this statement true, okay, why negative 12, not 12? Because in the original, remember we distribute, Rachel? We had negative 3 times a positive 4. That gives me a negative 12. Okay? The only times the sign is switching up is when you're adding or subtracting. Okay? So right here, we had a negative 12 in front of the R. So we had to get rid of the negative 12. So we need to divide the 12 and the negative on both sides. So you ever hear the phrase kill two birds or with one stone? That's basically what we're dealing with. We're taking care of the negative and we're taking care of the 12 on that left-hand side. Okay. If two negatives make a positive, then why doesn't the negative 36 plus? Exactly. You just said it. It's plus. Two negatives make a positive when you're multiplying. Okay. When you're multiplying, that's when the negatives, two negatives make a positive. But when you're adding, it stays negative. Okay. Hey, Lynette. Welcome to the show. Oh, okay. Thank you. Not a problem. All right. So we have both the negatives. We're finding the positive. We're finding a number. It could be positive. It could be negative. But my thing is we're finding a number that is going to make our original equation true. That's our goal. Okay. We're not going to try to make it too difficult. But all we know is whatever the number is to make this equation into a true statement. All right. Okay. Feeling better? Feeling all right? You're doing math during the day. Look at you. I know a lot of you are probably like, I'm okay. You know, it does. It takes some time, guys. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. It took some time for us to get it together. All right. So right now, I have roughly like 2 minutes because I do have to get to my tutoring. But here's the thing. I will be here this evening at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'll be able to go a little bit longer because hopefully I don't have any more students like this one that just popped up yesterday. But I will also be here tomorrow. I know tomorrow's Valentine's Day, but hey, let's do some math and then you can go back to your loved one. All right. So at 8:30, I will be here. We're going to be working more on the polynomials. So I tried to switch it up because people can come back and learn some more stuff. Okay. So how often do you go live? I just started going on live last week. And then this week, I finally think I have a schedule down. So Monday through Fridays, I'll be here at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the same thing for the evening, but I think the evening is just going to be Monday through Thursdays because now I have a student that's coming on at 8:30, unfortunately and fortunately. But if any of you guys need any assistance that you're doing your college algebra courses, or if you know someone that needs some help with the GED or ASVAB or Accuplacer, just go ahead and pass my information on to them. I'm here. I'm here to work. And if we ever need to do like a study group, we can do a study group and it'll be a TikTok study group. I'm more than willing to do that, right? Because, hey, that's what God put me on this planet for. He gifted me how to break concepts down. And it's time for me to be of service to you guys, okay? Do you have courses? Yes, ma'am. They are on my website, which is in my bio. So you can go to ACG Math Tutoring. I have it for the GED. I have it for basically everything. So that was a lot of hard work to put that in. It's roughly 107 different videos. But if you talk to me personally, I can show you, I can easily give you like a TikTok discount because you're my peoples and we're hoping that TikTok will still be around. All right. Okay. So it's exactly 1:59. I love you guys. I will probably see some of you guys at 8:30 this evening. But from here on in, if not, I'll see you tomorrow afternoon. All right. So have a great day and I will talk with you soon. All right. Bye now.